Welcome back everyone to Ang's channel. Today we'll be back another episode of stocks review. Today yet another Russell 2000 stocks. So today we'll be looking at SoundHound AI, or called SOUN. Let's go. Welcome back everyone. Today we will be looking at another small cap company called the SoundHound AI. From the name itself, you can actually kind of relate that this is the company that is somewhat relates to AI company. So yes, and it's something that is related to voice recognition, voice assistance that is similar to AI strategy as well. So right on the charts, we have the SoundHound, and as you can see from here, right, I'm actually starts to like look at it during back in the early of 2024. This is a stock that actually my father recommended me to look at, and I was somewhat like very interesting in it because it's something related to AI, right? As long as it's an AI company, maybe it will somewhat benefits from the trends as well as sentiments of AI market right now. I didn't manage to catch this because I wasn't actually looking at these stocks for quite a while already, and then it just boom. Oh, crazy, right? Almost 400%, 4x. It's very crazy. And then it starts to coming back down. And right now, the market is still very bullish because it's still having this upward trends of all the moving average as well. So without further ado, let's go into their financial status. So right here we have the SoundHound AI revenue. We can see from here is pretty decent for the quarterly, right? We can actually see a trend of increasing revenue, and recent quarters just slightly drop a bit, but it is a very sign and very good tracks that hey, revenue of the company is actually increasing throughout the quarters in a very predictable and stable form. And for the net income, let's look at the net income. We just slightly turned positive in the recent quarters, and we have like many negative quarters already, and then slightly very negative, and then we have a positive one. I guess this is starting to show the strengths of the company being able to generate more net income in terms of positive net income. So right now I'll be wanting to see hey, if the future quarters will be able to have higher net income quarterly. And if that's the case, maybe I will consider to start buying more of the stocks before it actually becomes the next 10x stocks, right? And the next one is going to be the free cash flow. And for the free cash flow, it's negative. Situation of the free cash flow is kind of a concern because it's very negative as well. And finally, it's going to be the research and development R&D. And you can see they are actually consistently putting more money into R&D, but somewhat in the 2023 they reduced it, but now it's coming back up. So indicating that they are actually starting to put more money in terms of their research and strengthen their products as well. So after looking at the financial status, right, we can somewhat see that the standards or the situation of the financial is actually starts to improving, especially with increasing revenue, as well as starts to turning positive of net income after so many quarters, right? But then it somewhat have like relatively not that good of a free cash flow. So let's now dive into the stream of incomes and actually what this SoundHound AI do. It's actually a US-based company that specializes in voice artificial intelligence. So as it names, Sound AI. So it's voice artificial intelligence. So it develops conversational AI solutions for various industry, enables machines and devices to interact with the users using natural human speech. So basically they do is about the AI intellectual in terms of voice recognition and communications, which adapts humans' nature when it comes to talking or having a conversation with normal people, which in terms of providing better services and more approachable ways to serve the customers as well. What the SoundHound do is their focus is on voice recognitions and conversational AI. So this include voice assistance, speech to meaning engine, and NLU, natural language understanding, which allows AI systems to comprehend user intent more deeply. So this will be able to provide a more deep or meaningful interactions by understanding how the user actually wants or what is the demand or needs of the user right now. They also have generative AI integrations which such as integrated ChatGPT-like AI into platforms to improve dynamic conversational capabilities. So that's basically what they do. And over here is the revenue streams. They have B2B clients. So B2B is business to business. So this sort of company model, right, B2B, is somewhat hard to observe with your real eyes or with your surrounding environments, because B2B is somewhat big businesses and big businesses, they are working together. So from this point of view, it's hard for you to actually observe the scenarios, right? But B2C, which is business to customers, this is where, such as McDonald's, so it's business which provide food services for the customers. So you'll be able to direct observe situation of the market, whether or not there's a lot of people going to McDonald's or less people going to McDonald's during these sessions, which may actually indirectly or directly affect their revenues or their income during that quarters. So their revenue stream is actually licensing, with charging business to license its voice AI technology. They have usage-based revenue, which is the fees based on the volume of queries or interactions handled by AI. So their fees is collected by how much you actually use the AI, instead of just buying a package and you can use no matter, there's no up limit of it. And subscription fee of the AI platforms and APIs, professional services for customizing the voice AI solutions for specific clients. So they do provide customizations, allowing to meet the requirement or the specific needs of that specific clients or customers as well. And also partnerships with OEM, with automakers, appliance companies, and fast food chains to embed voice AI into their products. They actually done a quite wider range of servicing, from providing a licensing for AI speech technology to subscriptions to provide self-customizations, and also like partnership with OEM, involve or include AI components into small products as well. So it's actually quite thoughtful. And main industry is actually in automotive, which in car voice such as Hyundai and Honda, the smart devices voice interface for appliances such as TV or your smart home, right? And the restaurants and drive-through AI power ordering system. This one is quite new because, yeah, I didn't see this, but maybe in the foreign country, in the US, there is example of this, such as White Castle and Jersey Mike's. And they also have customer service, automating voice-based customer service support systems using the AI assistants. So their recent development is generative AI voice assistant platform, which enhance the platform offering real-time conversational AI and integrated with large language models, so making the AI system much more robust and being able to provide a better experience in terms of interactions with real humans. And also IPO via, so they actually launched this in 2022. It's quite a new company, but not really, but less than 5 years, right? So after looking at the stream of income, we want to know their strengths and weaknesses of this company. And we have the strength, which is proprietary voice AI technology. So they have its own unique speech to meaning and deep meaning understand technology, which differentiating it from traditional ASR, which is automatic speech recognition providers. So they do have their own technologies and services, which actually becomes their strengths and also their mode, whereby other companies doesn't have this kind of technology, but they have. And this is where this kind of technologies that is very unique, that is generating them income by providing the services. They also have multi-industry applications, which is just not tied to one industry, also serve like automotive, that as we mentioned, smart homes and customer service sectors. They have strong automotive partnerships such as Hyundai, Honda, Kia, Mercedes-Benz, and show trust in their AI assistant platform. I'm surprised he doesn't actually mention Tesla. Maybe Tesla doesn't actually implement their services. Maybe Tesla have their own, but I think do make sense if Tesla have their own AI assistants or AI voice recognition and assistance as well. They also have is the first mover advantage in voice with a generative AI. So early integration of ChatGPT style large language model into voice AI makes SOUN one of the few with a working commercial product in this space. So he is one of the first mover in terms of voice and hybrid of voice and generative AI products. They also have scalable usage-based models. So as client usage increase, or such as the voice queries and the SOUN's revenue will scale with it. So more people using the services provided, or more people are actually talking or asking questions with the AI assistant provided by SOUN, the revenue actually scales because the charges are actually based on how much you ask questions or how long you are communicating or have conversation with the AI assistants, right? Lastly, is going to be the developer ecosystem. So their platforms allow developers to build custom voice assistants which foster adoption. So it's pretty nice strength, and I do think right now over here it's somewhat form a decent moat already, but I haven't really go into details, which we will be going to. Next is going to be the weaknesses. Weaknesses is unprofitable, and we can actually see it from the results of the net income, and except for the recent quarter whereby the net income starts to become positive already, but before that the net income is actually really in a negative form. So 2024 to 25 still operating at a net loss with negative operating cash flow and making it vulnerable during capital market slowdowns. And the second one is reliance on few large contracts. So a significant portion of revenues come from a handful of major clients, and any contract loss would heavily impact the income. So they have large contracts but very few, and it's very unstable when the contract actually corrupts, and they will lose a lot of income as well. A very competitive market, I do understand that, because not just them are doing AI stuff, especially when they are just focusing on generative AI with voice only, whereas some companies such as Amazon, Google, Apple, they have their own models already. It doesn't mean that they don't focus on voice and AI, they just have AI sectors which they are actually focused in, which of course would include voice AI assistants that mimic the way of human talking, that provides a more approachable for the consumers to talk or to ask questions, such as the Alexa, Google Assistant, and maybe Siri. Yeah, it's a very competitive market, and also have spec related volatility. So this is like, it can lead to more volatile stock performance and skepticism for long-term institution investors, and also scalability still unproven. Although the technology is promising, mass market adoption is still limited, and revenue scale lags behind big tech or even other voice AI players like Nuance. So meaning that the situation in the market due to high competitive is very unstable, meaning that in their revenue also scale would be lack off, because what if there's better alternatives? Their revenue will definitely decrease and not in the increasing form. From right now, what I see is actually quite good, and we will continue to observe and review the future quarters and to see whether or not it will be able to consistently creating positive net income in the next 4 quarters, which creates a whole annual positive value. And lastly is going to be the hardware dependency, as it actually use case require integration into physical hardwares, creating dependency on OEM rollout schedules and supply chains. So moving on, we'll be going back to some of the ratios that we'll be looking at. And for here, we have the price to book, which is 11, actually signifying that the stock is actually quite expensive. We have debt to equity ratio, which is at 0.01, which is decent. The ROE, so you see having the negative ROE, right? It's actually somewhat very crazy, and also have a negative ROIC, although we start to see that, hey, it's starting to move towards the positive. That is why this condition of the stock market right now, right? For SOUN, I'm in a position whereby I am actually quite interested of what they are doing, but at the same time I'm worried because they are more like a niche company in terms of AI, because they do sound and voice recognition side instead of like a more generalized AI sector such as the Google, Meta, Nvidia, and so on and so forth. It can be worrying because there's a lot of high competitive, but if the results for the next few quarters or next few years is that it starts to seeing signs of positive growing ROE, positive growing ROIC, net income, free cash flow, then at the time it might be a very good option to invest into. But right now I don't think it is a great time to go into for me, especially I don't like when it has negative ROE and ROIC. And however, this is not financial advice, and please do make decision based on your research as well as your learnings. And finally, we'll be looking at the total debt, or not net cash, sorry. And right here we have net cash, which is in positive value. So this is quite surprising because I do understand their free cash flow is negative. However, consider they deducting all debts with the cash they have, it's actually still in a positive stance, which is quite decent. And I'm looking forward to see how well it will be able to perform in the future quarters. From there on, I will be deciding whether or not I will be investing lah. But then from now on, it's just a hold and observe strategy. But I do actually like the fact that the services that they provide, right, it's actually quite strong. It's quite attractive. But then consider that there's a lot of huge AI companies, somewhat very concerning, very worrying. But yeah, I will wait and see how well it will be able to perform in the next coming quarters. So I guess that is all for the financial fundamentals. And back to the charts, right? Overall, this company is doing AI sectors. However, they are more focused on voice services such as voice recognitions, voice assistance. They provide services through the number of queries they provide, subscriptions. They also provide like embedment into small products for OEM, as well as their product can face high competitions from many other big tech AI companies. This is something very interesting. It's staying somewhere in the position that it has the strengths that follows the trend, which follows the bias of AI trend markets, but at the same time it faces high competitions, and at the same time it has slightly sort of like turning positive financial fundamentals, but then it's still in the negative form. And I would like to see if it can somewhat turn into another big tech company, right? Before we continue to the summary, let us look at the economic mode score for SoundHound AI. We have the brand and loyalty pricing power at 6, so known as the voice AI pioneer, as we mentioned, serving multiple sectors such as the serving enterprise and automobile. Yet the pricing software is actually software based and has great competition. So there is always better alternatives when it comes to AI sector solution. Meta, Microsoft, Google, Apple, many different. So the pricing at 6 is quite reasonable. High barriers to entries, 7, because it has its own technology in terms of their deep voice recognitions. So it can actually quite hard in order to create business like this, because you need something that is yours and have patents no one can copy, and it will build a solid defense, solid strengths of your company. You can actually provide the services that no one else can. So high switching costs, market 7, really decent. Clients embedded voice assistant into workflow and systems, right? Moving to competitors would disrupt operations or the host installation, and it requires somewhat like you need to change the whole systems as well. And especially you are a huge client that provide huge services for your users, right? You wouldn't actually want to switch the model of AI, because it's quite hard and it may corrupt your systems, and your consumers will be like, hey, why do you change this? This one is better, right? So the switching cost is actually at 7 is quite decent. And for the network effect, the ecosystem grow via OEM and restaurants integrations, and more users improve training data, but not a classic flywheel. It's at 6, and also we have the economic scales at 6 as well, because it's actually a small scale relative to compared to like big techs, right? They actually own like proprietary infrastructures and benefits from growing volumes. They also have their own technologies, which somewhat I do think that it is their strength of being competitive in this market, because they have something that someone else doesn't have. For the final score, it achieved a 6.4, is somewhat considered as a moderate mode. So it's actually pretty good already, because it's not a narrow mode. It's moderate mode is actually considered quite a good one, but it's not something that it's not a signal for me to actually start investing, because I'm looking for a wide mode company. The consideration is that path to strengthen the mode is to maybe adoptions of NVIDIA AI platforms in multiple verticals, deepening OEM partnerships, executing on this enhanced defensibility, which increase its strengths of the mode of its company in the market, which is very high competitions. So basically that is all for the economic mode for the company. It's a pretty decent company that has very good strategies as well as strengths to a certain extent, because you compare to the big tech companies, right? This one is just a small stones beside the roads. Talking about the summary, right? This stock is something that I would want to observe, as I mentioned many times in this video. I would not want to invest straight away because of the uncertainties in terms of competitions as well as their net income and the ROE and ROIC value. Based on that, it's just the company is actually in a good track direction because it's focusing on AI sectors, but just that it's quite worrying due to the fact they only focus on voice AI, and they could have many other better alternatives such as the Meta, Google, Amazon. But as mentioned from the economic smoke, the switching cost is 7, right? It's pretty decent, but the pricing power is at 6. But somewhat this company has a moderate mode, which signifies that maybe in the future, this company could potentially become a wide mode company, and also with great fundamentals in terms of financials, with continuously growing and positive free cash flow, net income, ROE and ROIC, and so on and so forth. So, but before that, or maybe even before they actually change their business model or come out with something revolutionary in terms of voice AI assistance, that most of the big tech company doesn't even have that product yet, that actually has a lot of demand from the user or consumers, only then we might see some changes on the sentiments of this company. But before that, it's just a waiting game. So I guess that is all for today's videos on stock review for the SoundHound AI. And if you are interested, you can just look into deeper about this company. Maybe share it in the comment sections, right? So I think that is all for today's video. And if you find this video very helpful, you can support me by clicking the like buttons, share this video, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and yeah, I will see you on the next one. Ciao.